All right, we are officially live. So Dr. Gandhi, if you want to go ahead and get us started with introductions, and you can make me be last.
Okay, all right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Seema Gandhi, and I am the PFAA Academy Coordinator. We have the team with us here today to share our hybrid plans. Dr. Ellis?
Hello, I'm Addie Ellis. I'm Student Services Director, and it's so wonderful to have all of you here with us tonight.
Ms. Burial?
Hello, I'm Laura Burial. I'm the Teaching and Learning Director, and it's wonderful to be here with everybody tonight. And I'm super excited about getting kids back on campus.
Dr. Wood?
Hello, my name is Joe Wood. I'm Natomas Charter Schools Executive Director. I'm also a PFAA parent. I have a 7th grader, so this meeting is near and dear to my heart for a lot of reasons. So welcome, we're happy to see all of you, virtually anyway.
Good evening, everybody. So our purpose of our meeting today is to share our hybrid plans, hopefully be able to answer some questions, and also get you set up so that you can fill out the hybrid survey if you haven't filled it out yet. And also, if you would like to send me an email, this PowerPoint will be available at the end of the presentation. And so you'll be able to click on this link to email me as well. Also, this meeting is being recorded and will be uploaded to YouTube, and it's also being live streamed. So you can access it if you have to hop off at a different time. Okay, so just some quick little 4 virtual meeting norms. Please remember that we are here to support and learn from one another as a community. Please practice some grace and patience with each other, including us. And it's really important that we kind of stay on topic, and specific situations due to confidentiality should be emailed. And please mute yourself when you're not speaking. Okay, let's get started. So what's going on right now? So right now we are preparing to return to campus. We are wrapping up semester 1 strongly, and we need our families to fill out their hybrid survey to really determine whether they want to stay on distance learning or switch to hybrid. What will be happening soon, we will be having a early hybrid day. So information about that will be provided at the end. And finals are the week of December 15th. So right now we are in the stage 2.5. We are really here. We have some in-person supports. We've brought some of our middle school students onto campus on Wednesdays to really support them. And we have some facilitators in there working with the students, providing extra support and help through academics and also SEL as well. Where are we headed though? We are actually headed finally to stage 2 that we are really excited about. I especially am really excited and looking forward to meeting all the students on January 4th. There are 3 key things that I would like to address today as we prepare for hybrid transition: safety, consistency, and stability. So the first one is safety. So one of the key questions that many parents have asked is, what protocols do we need to have in place before we bring students back into campus? And we have definitely been thinking about those things. So when students return to campus, we will be practicing 6 feet in all spaces. We will also be having a one-way entry and exit. Face coverings will be required. All students are expected to wear masks, including our staff as well. We will be also having hand washing stations available, hand sanitizers. We're currently working on a process for cleaning our desks between periods. We are doing cohorts models through our block schedules, and which means we'll have approximately 15 students per class. We are also working on our Screen at Home campaign, staying home when sick. And we're also going to be cleaning and disinfecting on a regular basis, doing our deep cleaning on Wednesdays, and then also really working on cleaning in between periods as well. Just some specific information: we will have a staggered start and end time with Leading Edge and VLA to ensure that we are not clustering in groups. We also will have arrows on the ground to help guide students along, and staff members will be available to remind students of the expectations and help students move along from period to period. We have separated our lunches between middle school and high school. I'll go over that schedule as well of what it's going to look like. Rehearsals will likely be outdoors for now. Vocal, theater, dance, orchestra, and percussion are permitted now to practice outdoors with physical distancing and masks. Wind instruments are not allowed yet from Sacramento Public Health. We're hoping to have more information on that in the coming weeks. Some additional measures that we've implemented, we've installed air filters, HVAC systems, replaced all tables. We've also installed plexiglasses in our high traffic areas. If you visited our office recently, you will have probably seen some plexiglasses because the office is a high traffic area as well. We also are working on indoor and outdoor lunch procedures as well. And our staff is also participating in surveillance testing as well. Okay, next slide. So just some procedures about helping students move along. So as you can see right here, there's a plexiglass in the front of the campus. There's also plexiglasses between Miss Loesch's and Miss Duquet's desk as well. Coming and leaving school, really making sure that our drop-offs and our dismissal times are really separated between leading edge so that we don't have any congested areas in between. We are still working on what lunch will look like on rainy days. We haven't figured that out yet, but we are working on that part. So this is a typical classroom setup of what you should probably expect. These are our wonderful students from our middle school distance learning hub day on Wednesdays. As you can see, they are all separated, wearing masks. All of them are also on Chromebooks as well.
Dr. Gandhi, I'm going to pause you for a second. We got a question in the Q&A that this is kind of a good time to answer. So the question is, what are the protocols in the event of infection, either within a cohort or in the event of a family member or student that's been told to quarantine? So basically, what happens is that whenever a student on our campus or a staff member on our campus has a confirmed positive case of COVID-19, then all of the students that are part of their cohort actually would probably go home for 14 days. This is actually a conversation that we have with Sacramento County Public Health. We'll basically describe the situation in terms of, how the student attends class or how the teacher or staff member works with students, and then they'll make some determinations. But generally speaking, it would be anyone who is within 6 feet of them for 15 or more minutes on a regular basis would basically then quarantine for 14 days. And our quarantine protocols are that anytime someone has to quarantine, they're just going to transition to distance learning for that period of time. What we're looking at doing is if the quarantine involves staff members, then we would have substitute teachers come in and the staff member would teach remotely to any students that can still attend. In terms of what the cohort is, at PFAA, we really have two large cohorts, right? We have cohort A and we have cohort B, the students coming different days of the week. But in terms of a cohort that would go home related to a quarantine, more than likely it's the students who are in that other student's classes on the days that they were on campus. And then it might even be somewhat restricted to maybe a section of the classroom. That's actually part of the conversation that we have with Sacramento County Public Health, where they make some determinations based on the situation within the classroom. Anytime this happens, you will get a notification. If you've been a parent of ours, especially at Star Academy, in the past, you might remember letters where, oh, there's been some cases of strep throat on campus, or there's been some cases of lice on campus. Similar sort of notification where there's a letter and a call that would go out with information. And then if your child is a member of one of the classes that needs to quarantine, then information about the quarantine processes and procedures would go out as well. Related to this, we have a question in the chat about asthma and seasonal allergies. If they cough or sneeze, what would happen? So if someone has seasonal allergies or something similar to that and they cough and sneeze, the idea is not that the student immediately goes home. The idea is that we recognize that there's an alternative diagnosis and maybe the family or the student shares that to let us know what's going on. Certainly if that becomes, a more consistent problem, then we would reach out to the family to say, hey, maybe there's some concerns here, or maybe there's some other symptoms going on as well that are the more high profile or the more concerning symptoms related to COVID, such as a fever along with that sneeze, or maybe a loss of taste or smell with that sneeze as well. All right, those are the main safety questions that have come up so far.
Perfect, thank you.
Dr. Wood, if I may.
Sure.
And just so you know, we will be sending home all the information on the Sacramento County Public Health Guidelines and the expectations of screening at home. So it'll show what those high tier symptoms are that Dr. Wood mentioned, as far as loss of smell, temperature, and more of the low risk symptoms, a cough or a sneeze. So that information will be sent home.
Perfect, thank you. Okay, consistency. This is kind of my favorite part, where I get to talk about what hybrid's going to look like. So the path forward, I think there are 3 steps that we really need to think about. So the first step is, families making a choice, right? And I think it's a difficult choice, and you have to make a choice that's going to be the best for you and your family for safety, consistency, and stability. And our next step is, making sure after that we train and we kind of practice these procedures, which ties into our early hybrid day, which will be in December, and I'm going to talk about that at the end as well. And then hybrid instruction begins in January, and we're all getting really excited to see the students. And I wish we could skip to step 3, because obviously that's what fills my bucket, and I think that's what fills most of our teachers' buckets as well. So I think one particular thing that I kind of wanted to go over is that there are 2 choices. The first choice is that you can return to campus for hybrid instruction in January, or you can remain on distance learning for this semester. What that means is that if you choose to return to campus for hybrid instruction, you can choose the A shift, which means you would attend school on Monday and Tuesdays. Wednesdays would be at home learning days for everyone. And then Thursday and Friday, you will also be at home. If you choose the B shift, you will attend school on Thursdays and Fridays, and then Wednesdays is an at-home learning day for all students, and then Mondays and Tuesdays you would be at home as well. If you have no preference, I will be forever grateful, because trying to navigate and decide, to split up all of the students evenly can be challenging. So if you pick no preference, it will really fill my bucket, and I will be very grateful to you. But ultimately, you can choose between A or B, or you can choose to remain on distance learning. So emails were sent out this week, and they will be continued to be sent out every day if you have not made a choice. Every family will need to choose by November 13th, and I know that it said Friday on the actual email. I chose to extend the deadline so that families can make an informed decision after the meeting tonight. If you do choose distance learning, you need to plan with the idea that this is your choice for the remainder of the semester. Ultimately, our goal is to bring as many students as we can onto campus, but we're really going to need to evaluate the public health conditions, and if there's a dramatic improvement in the cases in our community, and PH allow us for less physical distancing, we may allow students to come onto campus, but we really do need families to make a choice between hybrid or distance learning, with the assumption that this is something that you're going to stay with for the remainder of the semester. Keeping in mind that everything is on a case-by-case basis, and it is easier to go from hybrid to distance learning versus the other way around, because there are some structural capacity things that we need to take into consideration.
So before you go on from that slide, there's a question in the Q&A that I want to answer.
Yeah.
So you want to go back to the previous slide. So the question is there any advantages or disadvantages to Monday, Tuesday versus Thursday, Friday as a choice? Dr. Gandhi, do you want to answer that first?
Sure. Actually, no. If you choose to come Monday, Tuesday, the instructional minutes are the same. If you choose to come Thursday, Friday, the instructional minutes are the same as well. I do know that for certain courses like vocal ensemble and things like that, there are teachers who are saying if you can pick a particular shift, it might be helpful with choir practice and vocal ensemble. But otherwise, in terms of instructional quality, material, times, it's all the same. So if you pick no preference, it's actually helpful, so we can put you in based off of where there's the most maximum room.
So a couple of related questions that came up to this is when we're saying the end of the semester, that's through June. That is correct. Based on what we're being told right now by Sacramento County Public Health, the expectation is that the current protocols that are in place that require us to be on hybrid, so specifically the 6-foot physical distancing, are going to be in place until there's a readily used vaccine, readily available and used vaccine. And so Sacramento County Public Health is recommending that we plan for hybrid for the remainder of this semester. So, you know, as Dr. Gandhi was saying, as you're making your choices, I really want you to make the choice with that in mind, that this is what we want to do for the rest of the semester. And then another question that kind of came up was about holidays and Mondays. They will basically be evened out. One of the things that we will also look at is if there's a big discrepancy, we might, you know, make a Friday really a Tuesday or something, but we'll get there when we need to get there. And then there was another question about the county changing colors, and we're going to get to that in a couple of slides, so stay tight.
Okay. All right. So in terms of, you know, consistency, you know, I think, you know, two of the key guiding questions is how do we make this pivot, but ensure that students and families have similar levels of support? And then how do we as a family decide which option is the best for us? So to answer those questions, I'm going to go through a series of slides and just real quickly kind of describe what the hybrid model versus what the extended distance model looks like, keeping in mind that it is still under development, right? You know, we are still trying to process and trying to figure out how this is going to look. And although we have all of these things in place, things will fluctuate and change based off of the needs of the students. So if you choose the hybrid model, as I mentioned earlier, you know, you will get to request either cohort A or B or no preference. You will need to make the choice that it will be until June. Placement of students, if you decide to go the distance learning route, parents will request it. You will sign up for the semester. And we will also take a look at your distance learning engagement, your attendance during spring and fall, because we really want to set you up to be successful as well. And so if distance learning wasn't working for you, we may recommend that you possibly choose a hybrid model just to ensure that you are set up to be successful. Instructional delivery. So what exactly is instruction going to look like? So if you're on the hybrid model, then students will attend school and work directly with the teachers 2 days per week. So Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday, Friday. And then students will learn at home 3 days of the week. The on-campus learning will be focused on delivering new instructional material. The at-home learning will be focused on independent practice with the support from online materials and also our distance learning facilitators. At the beginning of each class period, the at-home and in-class students will be simultaneously supported by the teachers through a Zoom call with the key instructional materials of the day. So the direct instruction will be done at the beginning of the period before releasing any of the students who are at home. When students are in class, they will have teacher access for help and support. When students are learning from home, they can attend the office hours for teacher access, or they can pop into any of the breakout rooms with our distance learning facilitators throughout the day to get help from them as well. So for an example, if I'm in a period 2 ELA class and I am at home today, then but I need help on my essay, then I can easily pop into another breakout room where there's a facilitator available to help me on my essay. Students will have limited teacher access during the period when they are learning from home. If you're on extended distance learning, students will log into the class as well. synchronous learning for 10 to 30 minutes to get the direct instruction, just like the students who are doing hybrid will also get that initial teacher direct instruction delivery material of the day. Students will then receive support from their facilitator throughout the day for help and support. So if you are in period 2, let's say math class, and you are talking about fractions, let's say, and the teacher has taught the lesson on fractions, and now students are working independently, but I need help on fractions. Where do I go? So you can easily log into the breakout rooms where there'll be facilitators available to help you on your assignment for the day. Students will receive the similar, if not the same, instructional material. Most work will be done asynchronously though, and students will have limited teacher access during the period, but they can access the facilitators during this time for support. And then students can attend office hours after school and or reach out to the facilitators for support and help. So there will be someone available to help and support them throughout the day. Plus, they will also have teacher access at the end of the day as well.
Dr. Gandhi, there's a clarification that somebody's making here. So they said to clarify, both cohorts are learning and getting their instruction at the same time.
I'm sorry, I missed that first part. What did you say?
So both cohorts are getting their instruction at the same time. So that the at-home kids are logging on and the in-class kids are in the room and the teacher teaches to both of them.
But not for the full period.
Right.
So yeah, so they are getting their direct instruction. So whatever the mini lesson is for the day, the students at home and the students in class will get that. But when it's time to practice or work on their project or discuss or work in their groups, the students at home would be released to go work on it independently, asynchronously, or they can log in to a different breakout room to go work with the distance learning facilitators.
There's a couple of different questions that are coming into the chat here that I want to try to hit together that are related to this. So how will the teachers handle office hours for distance learning? So office hours are after school. They will continue to be after school like they currently are structured. And that would be for both, that's basically the office hours are focused on any students that are learning from home that particular day. So it could be extended distance learning students, or it could be students learning from home on their hybrid day. Another question in here is, what happens if we choose hybrid and my student does not start on January 4th? The idea is that everyone is starting on January 4th, or the week, I should say, of January 4th for hybrid. If you have a unique situation where that's not going to happen for some reason, we definitely want you to reach out and let us know. But our expectation is that students are back on campus, and the days that they're on campus, they're actually earning attendance for being on campus. So if you will, it's like the way school used to be before COVID. And then what are the qualifications of the distance learning facilitators? So the distance learning facilitators, we're actually in the process of interviewing and hiring them right now. They are, for the most part, many of them have college degrees. Some of them are actually former PFAA students. We're hiring, if you're familiar with the concept of an instructional aide in the classroom, the idea is it's a trained instructional aide that's familiar with using some distance learning strategies and tools, and is connected directly to an academic discipline. So like there's one for middle school math, one for high school math, one for middle school science, one for high school science, that sort of thing. And then another question around the hybrid plan is academic disruptions due to disruption of attendance when infections occur. So the idea of this whole plan is that when students, let's say a group of students has to quarantine, they can do that tomorrow because they're just basically having more at-home days than they would normally have in a week. And so the plan is actually built so that those pivots can happen really easily.
Any other questions, or we're good?
I think so. There's a question about musical instruments.
I'm going to get to that later.
Yeah, let's wait for that one. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the requirements is that we still have to document 240 instructional minutes each school day. So if you are on hybrid and it's your time to be at school, you have to be at school. You can't check in with your teacher. If you're going to be absent and not at school, it is recorded as an absence. If you're on extended distance learning, you can document your attendance by attending the live instructions, completing the assignments, completing the Wednesday assignments asynchronously as well. The Wednesday assignments aren't going away. We do need them. They are part of our attendance requirement. So students will still be expected to be working independently on Wednesdays as well. Okay, so what is my week going to look like if I'm on hybrid? So if I'm on hybrid and I'm a cohort A student, then on Mondays, the student would attend school. The student receives instructional materials, teacher access throughout each period. They go to period 1, period 2, period 3, just like usual. I'm sorry, period 1, period 3, period 5, period 7, just like usual. Tuesdays, they would go to their even classes. Wednesday, they're working independently. Thursdays, the student attends live synchronous instruction for part of the period and then works asynchronously the remainder of the period. The student does have access to a staff member throughout the day, and then they can have teacher access at the end of the day during office hours. Friday would be the same as well. What if I'm on extended distance learning? If you're on extended distance learning, then on Mondays, the students will attend live synchronous instruction for part of the period and work asynchronously the remainder of the period. They will have access to the facilitator throughout the day, and then they'll have access to their teacher at the end of the day. I do want to note that some of the arts and academic classes may have the students remain on the entire period. So it's really going to depend on what that teacher is doing that day. For an example, in a music class, that teacher may choose to have the students stay on for the full period because they are practicing their instruments. Or in an acting class, the teacher may choose to keep them on the entire time because they are rehearsing their lines or practicing their poems and things like that. So it's really going to depend on each teacher and the structure of their class. But keep in mind that the direct instruction will happen in the first 10 to 30 minutes, whether you're at home or in class. But some classes may choose to keep them on the full period. So, to provide a better understanding of what an academic course could possibly look like is when students at home, they are logging in for direct instruction for 10 to 30 minutes. They will then log off for the period to go work independently on an assignment. They would attend office hours at the end of the day. Students at school are attending their classes with masks and to receive their direct instruction. They're working in collaborative groups, participating in group discussions, working on in-class projects. They also have access to their teacher during the period. What exactly is the teacher doing? So our teachers are walking around during discussion, supporting the students in the classroom, checking that chat box in case they've decided to keep all the kids on for the full period, providing direct instruction to the students. Our facilitators, meanwhile, are assisting our students with independent application. So they are facilitating breakout rooms, helping students, supporting students. And then our students who are at home are attending office hours at the end of the day if they still want teacher access. And our distance learning facilitators are available for our students all day for all the periods. All of our core academic courses, that is, not our arts courses. So what exactly does this look like from an arts course perspective? So from an arts course perspective, students who are at home are still logging in. And some classes may choose to keep them on the full period. Some classes may choose to only keep them on for 10 to 30 minutes. When you're at school, though, you are in class with masks and you're rehearsing outdoors. And there's a strong collaboration between the students who are at home and in person. So our teachers are still walking around, supporting the kids, checking that chat box. And also our students at home are receiving one-on-one support if they still need additional practice with their instruments or their lines for their shows and their productions, are receiving that one-on-one support during office hours. So PE has been another big question that I've received. So physical education will be held in three main areas: the gym, the blacktop, the field slash our track, and also our field house. We are not at this time providing access to our locker rooms. The students will be required to dress appropriately when they have PE. Masks during PE will not be required during physical exertion like running when they're outside. And our gym activities will be modified for students so that they can keep their masks on. There will be limited equipment with no real team gameplay. And so we're going to be really focusing on agility training, workout stations, distance running, yoga, and some mindfulness. And then all equipment that they do use will be sanitized regularly as well. So the big question, obviously, because you're at an art school, is what is the arts program going to look like? So our students will be practicing synchronously for the entire period in most courses. So most of our arts teachers will be keeping our students who are at home or in class on almost the entire period. Rehearsals for concerts will follow all COVID-19 protocols, and they will be on campus. The production rehearsals will be on campus. If you choose to go on distance learning, you will be able to participate in the class via Zooms to learn all the techniques, but you will not be able to participate in the shows, the concerts, and the productions. We will likely have outdoor rehearsals. Our vocal, theater, dance, and orchestra and percussion, we have been permitted to be outdoors with physical distancing and masks, and we've already started to pilot some of that to kind of see what it's going to look like. And we're really learning from that experience of, where are we going to put the students? What tape are we going to have? So it's been awesome seeing some of our students on campus practicing with our dance teachers and our music department as well. Unfortunately, wind instruments are not allowed just yet, but I'm hopeful, so stay tuned. And we are preparing under the current state guidelines. So as they change, we will modify and allow wind instruments once we receive some clearance. Another question that I have was asked about was promotion, graduation, and day on the grade. And to be honest, all of these events are to be determined. We don't know. Any event would have to follow the latest guidelines. And so all students would be allowed to participate in these events, whether you're on hybrid or extended distance learning. But more information about these events will be provided in the coming months. It's only November. And so let's have some patience and let's see how things go. I'm very hopeful and I'm very positive. And I think that if we can get all these protocols and all these kiddos back on campus, I think everything else will fall into place sooner than later.
Okay, Dr. Gandhi, I'm going to pause you because we're at a good point for a bunch of related questions.
Okay.
So first, will students need to wear PE uniforms? No. When Dr. Gandhi was referring to dressing appropriately, she more meant that, when it's a day that you have PE, that would be the day that you want to make sure you're wearing athletic shoes and clothes that you feel comfortable going to gym in. There's a question about carpools. So carpools are officially discouraged in the county. We will not be enforcing that. We don't really have any way of enforcing that, but realize that, in every way, shape, and form, including carpools, in order to keep schools open in our community, we need to limit the amount of mixed household gatherings to the greatest extent possible, which carpools would be part of that. When students are on distance learning, the goal is to have them keep their same teachers in classes that they have this semester. We are, as the numbers are coming in terms of what people are signing up for, we are looking at, if we need to make any shifts in the master schedule. So, if you have math third period, maybe rather than having a mixed hybrid distance learning group, we have one is for hybrid and one is for distance learning, but we're still figuring that out. But for right now, the plan is that everything would stay the same. In terms of materials in the classroom, there will be some use of paper and some use of digital collection as well. Whatever tools that we're going to be using, that we're working on protocols where there would be sanitizing or cleaning between. And then in terms of the question, there was a question about musical instruments and parents helping kids get instruments onto campus. That parent, why don't you go ahead and email the teacher and Dr. Gandhi, and we can talk a little bit about what might work out for that. And then dance classes and rehearsals are going to be held outside at this point. And so, one of the things that we're working on right now is, tomorrow's going to be our first like non-summer day. And so trying to figure out, what do we do on inclement weather? And so some of the arts classes might look a little different on inclement weather days because the guidance allows for these activities to only occur outside. And in the case of theater, vocal, dance, and percussion orchestra, they're supposed to be wearing masks at the same time. Okay, so then I got through most of those. Dr. Gandhi, back to you.
Okay, all right, moving on. Okay, so what should you expect from our special education 504 and EL support? There is an inclusive committee meeting on November 18th from 4 to 5, so make sure you attend that. And the on-campus supports and the virtual supports, as you can tell, are pretty similar. There's going to be some nuances based off of, what the student needs. And so I definitely encourage you to reach out to your case manager and also me as well, and Dr. Ellis, so that we can ensure that all the supports that your individual student needs are also met as well. Okay, all right, so the schedule. I want to say, and I want to be clear that this is a draft. So please, take this and, as you're preparing and as you're thinking about things, realize that this is a draft. And so things might change and fluctuate here and there, but primarily our schedule looks very similar to what it did before COVID. So students will be starting at 8:50 and the day will end at 3:25. Advisory will be 4 days a week, Monday, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, to really focus on, especially during this time right now, focus on connecting with each other and connecting with the students, and also really working on doing grade checks and supporting our students. And also it allows us to stagger our lunch. So middle school will go to lunch first, and then they will go to advisory. High school will go to advisory first, then lunch, and the day will still end at 3:25. And staggering the lunches is really important to ensure that we are practicing our physical distancing and we have enough staff members available to support all of the students that are at lunch as well. So the day for now will start at 8:50 and it will end at 3:25, and then there will be office hours every day with the exception of Wednesdays from 3:30 until 4 o'clock. And then Wednesdays will be the independent learning time, and advisory will be a check-in in the mornings only for 15 minutes, just to do a quick check-in, see how they're doing, and ask the students what they're working on for the day. So the next part is stability. So I really want to make sure that we create a stable transition for all students, and making sure that each family has to make a choice, and that you are supported in the choice and decision that you make as a family. So the next part of this is our step 2. So families make a choice. So we've kind of talked about that, about what is each thing going to look like. If I choose extended distance learning, what should I expect? If I choose hybrid, what should I expect? So the next part is practicing on-campus procedures. So we will have an early hybrid day in December, and this is our hybrid prep week is what we're calling it. On December 7th, we will be welcoming our brand new 6th grade students onto campus. Our cohort A will be here in the morning, and our cohort B will be here in the afternoon. And the real purpose of this early hybrid day, A, is to become comfortable wearing masks. We want them to practice the safety protocols, entering, exiting. How do I travel? Where's my class? Most of our 6th graders, haven't even seen their classrooms yet, and really understand what this new normal is. What is the setup going to be? And an opportunity for the teachers to play a quick game with all of our students as well. So 6th grade will be here on December 7th. We will have web available as well, so they can officially meet their web leaders. So we're really excited about that. And then on the 8th will be 7th and 8th grade students. Cohort A will be here in the morning. And then cohort B will be here in the afternoon. This is only for hybrid students. So if you are choosing to stay on distance learning, you do not need to come. There will be a schedule that will be released in a few weeks. Just give us some time to finalize a few things, but go ahead and reserve your calendar or whatever you need to do as families. The teachers, the staff, and I as well. We are all really excited to welcome the students on the 7th and the 8th. And so just some important questions that I've been asked via email or when you registered. I just want to kind of spend a few minutes going over those. So what if we are back to purple? What's the plan? So our plan is to always follow SCPH guidelines. And so it's actually an ongoing conversation with them. At this point, we as a county are hoping that schools will stay open. But it's really going to be dependent on what's happening in the zip codes and the surrounding school campuses. Will students have to wear masks during?
Dr. Gandhi,
yeah.
Can I add one little detail to that? Yeah. That really a question that came up in the chat. So a little bit about the color codes and the counties. So the idea is that if a county is purple, a school cannot reopen. If the school is open and the county goes back to purple, the school can remain open. So the question, and this is why this is a little bit of a confusing point right now, it's very clear that when the state made these guidelines, they were thinking only of the very beginning of the school year, and they weren't thinking about the rest of the school year. And so one of the conversations we're having with Sacramento County Public Health is like, okay, in Sacramento County, most districts are not opening until January. So if the county goes back to purple before then, what does this really look like? And at this point, what we're being told by public health is their goal is to have all schools open. They do not plan on reverting to a countywide shelter in place for schools at all. I think schools will actually end up being the last thing to potentially close. And that would only be in a catastrophic situation, like where there was no capacity in hospitals or something along those lines. So we're planning with we're planning with January 4th in mind, no matter what. But we continue to engage Sacramento County Public Health to figure out, as the rate, like this week was the first time Sacramento County could potentially go back to purple. So trying to understand what that really looks like. I actually meet with the public health doctor every Friday afternoon with other charter school leaders in the county, and we kind of talk through these situations. So we'll keep you up to date if something changes.
Perfect, thank you. And then will students have to wear masks during PE and dance classes on campus, or will they be able to remove them during exercise? I think I've already talked about this, but when students are doing physical exertion outdoors, they're running, no mask will not be required. But when they are in the gym doing strengthening or training workout stations, masks will be required then. Will students still need to bring their Chromebooks to school and work on their device? Our goal really is to make sure that campus is really relational and interactive with our in-person activities. It's really going to be based though on each teacher and each classroom. So each department is currently working and discussing how are we going to use technology on campus? We do have devices for all students. So our goal is to get back to all the families with our plans for Chromebooks on campus in a few weeks. If the number of students going to hybrid is low, is the school considering attending 3 or 4 days per week? So the short answer to this is yes, but at the start of the semester, everyone will be on a shift or B shift. But once our numbers settle and we kind of have things and we're in a groove and we're moving, then we're going to try to bring more students on campus as much as we can. That is our goal, but we don't want to make any promises that we can't necessarily keep at this time. What are the consequences for those families that knowingly and willingly send their children to school either sick, give them medicine to suppress the symptoms, who are awaiting test results, or those who just point blank lie about their child's status? To be honest, we all have to work together as a community. So which is why that Screen at Home campaign that Dr. Ellis was mentioning is really important. We need you to also help us make sure that the kids are safe. So if they're sick, keep them at home. If you think they're safe, keep them at home. Please don't send them, because we want to stay open as much as you want us to stay open as well. So if we do, though, have a situation where a family has knowingly sent a sick student, then our goal is to meet with the family individually to address the situation, and then look at some alternatives. You know, do we need to put them on possible extended distance learning? We will always address things as they come to our attention, but the reality of it is that we have to work together as a community and hold each other accountable as well. Will families have the ability to switch choices between the third and fourth quarters? Will distance learners keep their teachers? We've already addressed that, but for the most part, yes, distance learners will keep their teachers. We are looking at the master schedule. We may need to do some tweaking, but as we do that, we will definitely communicate that. And I believe we've been very transparent, and we will continue to do that as we have more information. Switching between third and fourth quarter, I've already addressed that as well. Our goal really is to for you to make a decision that's going to be best for you for the remainder of the year. But as we have availability and capacity, we will definitely consider bringing more students on. So if you are toggling between extended distance learning and hybrid, I really think that you need to make a decision about what's going to be best for you and your family long term up until June. And so, you know, I can't make that decision for you. You have to make that decision in terms of what's going to be best for you and your family.
Can I also add one little thing? I think if you're vacillating between hybrid and extended distance learning, at this point, you should sign up for hybrid. That way we can make sure you have a spot. And as Dr. Gandhi mentioned, you know, you can always, it's more easy, it's easier. My grammar teachers of the past would have been horrified at that sentence I almost said. It is easier to switch from hybrid to extended distance learning than it is to do the opposite. And so, and a related question that kind of popped up in the chat is, you know, if a child stays home because of potential illness, can they log on remotely? Yes, that's actually what we're trying to create, is that if they have to stay home, and it could be COVID, could just be that they have a cold or something, they can just connect remotely, and there's no loss in learning, and there's no real hiccups, that they know what they need to do, because it's going to look the same as the days that they've been home previously.
Yeah. So how will mask wearing be enforced? Will masks be provided? How often are spaces being cleaned and sanitized? Other precautions? So students will be dismissed during their scheduled release times. They're going to walk from one class to the other while maintaining physical distance. We'll have our arrows that will help them, which is why that early hybrid day is so important, so they can practice going to their classes. And then also we are working with our custodians. Water fountains are off. We will have bottle fillers, and they will also go around the campus throughout the day to disinfect the high touch surfaces like doorknobs, you know, benches and things like that. The procedures and protocols do have to be taught. You know, we will always share our expectations about the importance of wearing the mask. Our teachers will proactively teach them, remind them. That's why practicing during that early hybrid day is really important. But you know, in accordance with our public health, if they don't wear a mask, we will ask them to go home, and they can return when they wear a mask properly. So that's just kind of our policy, and it really is in accordance with California Department of Public Health. So unfortunately, you know, that like these are the rules, and you have to follow them, and we will practice them, and we will do everything in our power to make sure that the expectations are taught. But if you refuse to wear it, you will have to go home.
Can I add something?
Questions came up.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ms. Varel, do you want to go?
Yeah, I was just going to say, you know, we will have in between classes sanitizing the desks and the chairs in the room, and then when the kids, you know, enter and leave rooms, they'll use hand sanitizer or wash their hands as well. So, you know, we are very aware of that, and we have protocols in place for all of that.
The couple of mask questions that came up in the chat. So we are providing a cloth face mask to every student at Natomas Charter School. Dr. Gandhi's showing it in her screen. We have black ones and gray ones. And then we will have some disposable masks if a child forgets their cloth mask at home. But I would strongly encourage every single family that if your child does not already have a collection of cloth masks that they're routinely wearing when they're going out and about in the community, I would encourage you to get on board with that like right away, like get them comfortable with that experience, help them find masks that are going to fit their face well. I'll pitch Target. My son has found the Target masks to be the ones that fit his face the best. So that would be as well. And then this is unrelated, but it keeps popping up, so I want to address it before we forget. So yes, if you are choosing extended distance learning, you cannot participate in the performances, because if you're choosing extended distance learning, the logic is that you're doing that for health and safety reasons, and we cannot guarantee that same level of health and safety that you would have through extended distance learning when kids are coming onto campus. Because to participate in performance and rehearsals, you do have to come onto campus. You have to interact with students in the same way that you would do if you were in a hybrid modality coming to school.
May I add one thing that Dr. Gandhi was speaking of regarding the masks? Can you hear me? Okay, I saw everybody lean in. Okay,
Yeah.
So with the mask, yes, it is a requirement that everyone wears them. However, we do know that middle schoolers, and even some high school students, there's a difference between someone's mask slipping down and a teacher or an administrator having to remind them to put it back on, and someone who's willfully saying, nope, I'm refusing to wear a mask. And so
like you can't do
the way
that.
Dr. Yeah, right now isn't appropriate. They need to have their nose and their mouth covered. And so really practice that with them. As I mentioned, we'll be sending home the protocols, the expectations for self-checking at home for symptoms of self-screening. And we'll also send home our expectations for mask wearing. So please practice with your kids. Dr. Wood said, Target, my mom makes my masks. So, we can find all the different things to do, but there is a difference between someone who it slips accidentally and are actually refusing to wear it. Students who refuse to wear the mask will be put on distance learning until they're able to wear the mask if they're on hybrid.
Yeah, and I just want to add to that our goal is not to be punitive with this. This is just the law. This is we are following the guidelines. So I mean, when you're talking all day, as a coordinator, I'm talking all day. My mask, sometimes slips, and so if it accidentally slips, our goal is not to send your child home because it slipped. We will just practice reminding students. Just like how if I see it slipping, I push it back up. And so our goal really is to practice these things, and that's why that early hybrid day is going to be really important for them as well, so they can get used to these things. Practice it, and then also keeping in mind that they're kids and they're going to make mistakes. We have some students here on Wednesdays, and after they are eating their lunch, they just forget to put it back on, and I've gone up to them very kindly and respectfully and said, hey, put your mask back on, and they do. And so it's a new way of doing school, and so it's going to take time, but ultimately they have to wear a mask, and that's just the rule. Okay, moving on to the next thing is some important dates. So November, Veterans Day, there's no school. Make sure you fill out the survey by the 13th, Thanksgiving break. December finals prep week is our hybrid prep week. Our finals week is the 14th through the 18th, and then semester 2 begins on the 4th of January, and we're excited to see our students back. And I leave you with this quote: at times our own light goes out and it's rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has a cause to think with deep gratitude for those who have lighted the flame within us. So it is with the utmost gratitude that I share with our community that we are excited to have the kids back, and we thank you for your support in our journey. And it's been a wild one, but I'm getting really excited to see the kids again, and we hope you are too.
So a couple other questions that popped up as we close out here. Wednesdays are still late start Wednesdays, just like as they have been and they still are before. I believe they're starting tentatively at 9:30, correct, Dr. Gandhi?
So Wednesdays will be, advisory will be at 9:30, from 9:30 to 9:50. This new schedule will not start until January 4th. So the current schedule that we have stays in place for the remainder of the semester.
And then can you explain the timelines for turning in Wednesday work? That question came up a few times.
Yeah, so in order to get attendance credit, we need students to submit their work on Wednesdays by 4 p.m. so that they can get attendance for the day. So that means that if a teacher has a short check-in assignment, they need to do the check-in assignment and submit it so that they can get attendance credit for the day. If it's an actual assignment that they're supposed to complete that's due on a Friday, and they've submitted the form for the attendance piece, then they're okay. So each class is set up differently. But for an example, if I'm in a math class and my Wednesday assignment is to fill out a Google form where I say, I am working on assignment number 2 today, lesson 2.1A, I will have that completed by Thursday. If I submit that to the teacher by 4 p.m., then I receive attendance credit. So each teacher in their Schoology folder has an assignment for the Wednesday that they have to complete. It is a short assignment to get attendance credit. The work completion is very different than the actual attendance. If you have specific questions for your individual student, if you reach out to me, I can kind of help you navigate that as well.
Another question came up about when will we find out about which cohort? And I believe that we're looking the week of December 11th. Is that correct? Okay.
Correct.
So families would know by the week of December 11th because students will need to know for those early hybrid days that are occurring that week as well. And then a question about the DC trip that some middle school students were supposed to go on this spring break. It has been postponed till next spring break. So hopefully you got that information. If you have any questions about it, I would follow up with Mrs. Green. It's a program that's actually external to the school that she runs in her private time. So you can reach out to her. Another question is about singers. They don't need special singing masks, just a regular cloth-based mask works as well. And then there was another question about performances and extended distance learning. So just to reiterate, if you do choose extended distance learning, at this point, those students will not be participating in performances. There was a follow-up question about virtual performances. At this point, that's going to be a little dependent on signups. You know, we're going to kind of have to look at this and figure out. But the teachers have some limited capacity in terms of the number of extracurricular things that they can do. But we're definitely trying to look at some different options. You know, our goal is to have the experience be as close to normal as possible, but also making sure that we're accommodating, you know, everyone's requests and health and safety needs as well. So with that, I think we got to all of the questions. And, you know, as Dr. Gandhi said, if you have any follow-up questions, definitely reach out to her. And, you know, sometimes you kind of have to sit with the information and let it sink in a little bit. And then the questions come to mind, and you can certainly reach out to her and we can, you know, figure out those pieces.
Dr. Wood, we did have a question about new students that are new to the school and having support during their hybrid practice day. If, like, say they're in 7th grade, or we are going to have staff available to support the students and help them find their way around and everything. So no worries, we will get them where they need to go, just like we do every year on the first day that they're on campus. We're all hands on deck, ready to support them and get them where they need to go.
Dr. Ellis, I saw that a question just came in about masks versus face shields. Do you kind of want to explain the differences and the requirements?
So the mask is the best way possible according to Sacramento County Public Health right now. If for some reason your child has a medical concern where they're not able to wear a mask, they can wear a face shield with a skirt. So the skirt comes down, don't know if you can see me, where it would be at least to your shirt level, and the expectation is that it's tucked in, and that would allow them to have full coverage. So the skirt would make sure that as to the best extent possible, we're not having particles go out through the sides. So that's what the skirt is for. However, if your student is unable to wear a mask, please contact Dr. Gandhi, and then that way we can have a meeting and discuss what's going to be the best option for them.
And there was a question also about if your student is not going to campus due to illness or not signing on remotely, you would still contact the attendance clerk, Ms. Roseanne, so that to notify us that your child will be sick for that day. Yes, that would be the appropriate way to do it. And we do appreciate when you, as parents, let us know that so we can be prepared and know that your child is all right.
And there was also a question about that it was really hard to see the schedule. I apologize that it was hard to see because it's not available just yet. It's a draft, so we're still fine tuning it. So as soon as we have the schedule available, and will send out what cohort you're in, all of that information will be coming in a few weeks. Check your emails, check your weekly updates. All of that information will be released as soon as we have everything ready to send out.
And I think the big takeaway that as a parent, you probably want to know about the schedule more than anything else is really our intent is to make it as close to a normal school day as possible. It's going to look, slightly different and that sort of thing, but we're really operating with the mindset that we're going to be here a while. And, we're trying to have the kids, have access to the curriculum to the greatest extent possible, given all of the challenges that we're navigating. But our intent is to have as close to a normal school day as possible. All right. Well, with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop our live stream and the